Beyond.
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 Welcome. Stop. Nope. That's enough. That's enough. Brian.
Damn it.
That's enough.
Once.
Welcome everybody to Beyond episode 508. I'm Max Scoville and I'm joined by the ever a handful Brian Altano.
Beyond.
From Fullbright Entertainment, Steve Gaynor.
Beyond.
And Alana Pierce.
Hi.
Now, full disclosure, Alana and Brian are jet lagged because they were at Gamescom all week.
Yeah.
I'm crabby because it's Monday and Steve is from Portland. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
I'll just be very pleasant and friendly.
that's good.
So, I mean,
it'll
I'll carry it for everybody else.
No,
Don't worry.
thank you.
You guys just shipped Tacoma.
That's right.
Which is a very cool game. You guys also, for full disclosure, you guys made Gone Home, which is
right.
a game that everyone should go play.
You guys like all of Portland?
The town of Portland.
Yeah. As a community, we've shipped 2 video games.
So I got to ask, this is a PlayStation podcast. Tacoma is currently a console exclusive for the other one, the X-shaped one.
What's your beef?
X-shaped.
What's the problem?
Will Mac, Linux, and Xbox.
There you go.
I got no beef. I love all video games.
You don't like PlayStation.
Beyond.
Will the PlayStation Nation ever get their paws on this space game?
Oh, the
We
camera
have
didn't
nothing to
put you in
announce at
time. Oh, that was great. He did a very dramatic.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Yes, I have a question.
This is every single person that works on video games.
Altano has quite a question.
No, this is like, you don't go to school for this. Like one day you just learn to just be cagey. You just become professionally cagey. Like I interviewed like 30 different people at Gamescom. Every single one of them is an absolute master at being like, well, we don't have anything to announce just now, but stay tuned. We've got plenty of exciting things right around the corner.
I mean, we really appreciate your
right?
interest and enthusiasm. We don't have anything to announce at this time.
See?
But
Perfect.
Very good.
He's got it
Very
totally
good.
down. You're amazing at that. How do you learn to do that?
It's a continuous just stack of you see somebody else do it and you're like, oh, so you just say thank you, I appreciate your question, and we have nothing to announce at this time.
We've gotten the great feedback from the community, and we're aware that's a concern, but nothing to announce at this time.
See,
So
that guy can do it.
It's like learning from bad examples, basically. Like you see somebody screw up and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Bad and good, all really.
All examples.
I'm a fan of all examples.
What percentage of like the sort of PR side of things is keeping a secret and making sure you or someone else doesn't screw up and leak it out?
I mean, it's mostly just becoming okay with yourself being that person. It's more of an internal struggle.
I feel like you're doing it to me right now. You're doing like secret KGPR speak right now.
It's just like it's
all
it's
the examples.
Right.
That's, we take our inspiration from all different kinds of sources. Everyone. Yeah.
I think it's like
I'm really a
We
fan
have
of
nothing
all
to
kinds of
announce.
music.
Thank you.
It's a more verbose version of when kids are like, "Can we go to the zoo?" And it's either like, "Ask your mom," or "We'll see." And it's
Yeah.
we'll come back to that later, real quick, and just hope they forget.
I mean, I'll just start using that one. Ask your mother.
Yeah,
Very good.
that's a cryptic one.
That's a really short interview. Welcome to IGN Live. I'm Brian Altano. With me is Steve Gaynor. Anyway, Steve, what's up with your new game on PlayStation? Ask your mother. Okay, thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.
Exclusive. Steve Gaynor announced his new game called Ask Your Mom. See me?
But speaking of Gone Home, that we mentioned several minutes ago after all of this happened, I've been basically like trophy hunting in that game lately. And I think there's one for finishing the entire game in like 14 minutes. There was one for under a minute, and I got that. It took a very long time. I was like, oh, this will take statistically 5 minutes. Took a very, very long time because
You had to use all of your gamer skills.
Get the duck, and I kept like accidentally picking and throwing the duck up like multiple times. And just get the duck once and then throw it on the wall, and then you have to the door next to the. It was tough, man.
You did not know that Gone Home was an esport.
That's a really weird game to want to trophy hunt in. I feel
It's
like
because the trophies are really interesting. So it's like the things that are like,
There we go.
I want to try that. Like I want to give that a go. So it's like that specifically, and then there's one for you have to get every single collectible in the game in a certain amount of time. It's like that kind of stuff is like a challenge that is so different to the actual story of the game, which is why it's like this is cool.
That's my favorite achievement in the game is that you have to get all of the audio diaries in less than 10 minutes, which
That's-
means you have
yeah.
to do a bunch of weird sequence breaking of like going through secret doors backwards and stuff before you would know about them in the game.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, like, is that at what point, and you can be completely honest about this or lie, at what point does all...
Always have both of those options.
Sure, yeah, you do. How how like far into the development process this is the conversation about trophies specifically for something like Gone Home happen? Like, are they an afterthought? Like the game is finished and you're like, how do we sort of make microcosmic moments of this more interesting? Or was it like as you're going? Because I know Steam has achievements. And
I guess
stuff too.
I guess I would say one thing. Point of order. I know this is a PlayStation podcast, but I will exclusively refer to them as Chivos. Thank you. Part 2 being, in our case, it was long after the game shipped because we didn't do Steam achievements.
Right.
So when we were bringing it out on console, we were like, there's the obvious stuff like find all the audio diaries, but then how do we do the interesting stuff?
Well, for the
you
one
wouldn't
that's 10
expect?
minutes, how did you figure out that was even possible?
Well, that's a fun thing is even though we didn't have Steam achievements, people were speedrunning the game on PC, just like there are entries on speedrun.net for Gone Home for both any percent.
It's so weird to me too. It's like seeing how fast you could eat a book. Not really the point of the book. You're kind of, I don't know why you do that.
I know I misheard you, but to me it sounded like you said seeing how fast you can eat a book, which
That's what I
sounds.
said.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
good.
like you're not supposed to eat books.
Yeah, no, that's what
you
happened.
can say like, I finished this book in 20 minutes. You're like, wow, that's very fast reading. You're like, no, I didn't read it. I ate it. I ate the whole book.
Not reading, eating.
Because
Next book.
like Undertale just came out on PS4 and Vita, and the achievements in that or the trophies in that game, I'm going to call them that because I
The
understand
Chivos.
Trophers.
The
Tropher Graces.
The Chivadelios.
That's my favorite one,
Chivadelios. We're all just like,
Thanks for saying
they're
that
like,
word.
get an item, get 2 items, get 3 items. Anyway, that's all the trophies. Thanks for playing. And I think there's something amazing about that because they're just completely kind of incredulous. But now no one else can do that. Like he did that first, and now if anyone else does that, they're ripping him off or they're just going to come off as lazy. But he got to be the first guy that's just like, I want to make laziness look cool, and then I'm going to get out of there. But you guys have to find that balance of like
you can sell a game based on the achievements or trophies in it and how easy they are to get. Like,
Yeah.
I think that Xbox is a little more driven on this, where there's like people who have the most gamer score. And there was a story kind of recently about the guy who was in the lead went on a honeymoon for like 2 weeks, and the guy who was behind him overtook him or something. And it was like this very dramatic thing because he'd been in the lead for a really long time. And these people play games like cheerleading games, pony games.
there was that mayonnaise one.
What?
There-
I'm sorry, what?
No,
Sorry, I
it's-
pointed
thank
at you and I was like,
wonderful.
there was that mayonnaise one. Like
trying
a
to
weird
say I'm white?
detective.
I don't think you were there when we played the mayonnaise game. Was it
Now you
called
make-
I am Mayo?
There's a
called,
lot
like,
of different.
I am A, and
there's
it was-
just trouble going on. Like every sentence is a new kind
It's
of.
bad.
Yeah, you're right.
It's bad. We're in a rat's nest.
I don't
over
think
here.
you were there when he was playing the Mayo game.
No, that's disgusting. No, so there was like the mayonnaise game on PS4. It doesn't get better the more times I say it. And you can buy it for like $1 and you can get like a platinum trophy. So it was
Yeah.
just an incredibly easy trophy because all you had to do is keep smacking on that mayonnaise jar.
Huh? Yeah, really.
It's not as sexual. It's a little more sexual than you think.
Oh.
It's really
It's
sexy.
more sexual than I think.
Yes.
I would say it's far less sexual than you'd think, but there is a layer of sexuality to the mayonnaise game.
Yeah.
Anyway, I Am Mayo is available on PSN if you want to check it out. For
Months
an
ago.
Easy platinum.
Almost a year now.
So you guys just got back from Gamescom.
Yeah.
In the land of Germanytown, as you've been referring to it.
Germantown.
Yeah.
For any fun stories? What'd you guys get to play?
Drank a lot of beer.
You drank a lot of beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. They actually really love mayonnaise there.
They do.
All right, so that was a
On
great
their
start to that
crisps,
question.
On their chips.
Yeah, they're crisp.
They do.
So anyway,
no,
Gamescom
pommes
is a show in Germany where they have video games. Did you
Yeah.
play any of them or what?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I saw Faye behind closed doors. Did you see that, Brian?
No.
That I think only Andrew and I saw, and I absolutely loved it. So if you saw the trailer for that game, it looks like Ori and the Blind Forest. It's like very whimsical and colorful, and the concept is basically the devs who made that game, when they would like hang out as kids, they would just go into a forest without anyone being there and just kind of like play as kids in a forest, which is, I'm sure, foreign to all of us. It's like something that I didn't do that. I went to
I
beaches.
thought that was my childhood too.
Well, there you go.
I like that. I
You
like
and
going
these
to forest.
European men. So it's basically like the story of this little fox who learns a series of different languages in this forest, which basically act like items in Zelda. You learn a new language, and then that is what unlocks another area. There isn't any combat, but it's like really, really puzzle heavy, and
All the languages are animal based, right?
they are. So a certain animal will teach you a language when you get to a certain point, and then you can interact with the other animals of that language. And there's kind of an upgrade system where maybe at the start you can talk to a small bird, and then you can talk to a bigger bird. Like it kind of like progresses.
And then an even bigger bird.
Yeah, a giant bird.
Ooh.
And
Don't
Big
talk
Bird
to me or my
himself.
son.
Don't talk to me or my bird ever again.
So yeah, the languages are the things that progress the story, and it's just really pretty. Like
So does it like allow you to do like dialogue trees with the different animals because you can talk their language, or
think it's regular trees.
You aren't actually speaking with them at all. It's just a song.
Okay.
And sometimes the song is kind of unpleasant, which could get annoying. Like some of the sounds are kind of bad, but no, you can't actually talk to them. It's sort of like a poetic interaction.
You're
It's very
learning
pretty.
their animal language,
Yeah.
but it's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were trying to decide on whether or not we could like call it a Metroidvania because it is a 3D space, and that's usually something that's like historically tied to 2D side-scrolling games. But it's
think it
kind of
is.
Zelda-esque, I think, is the
It
best
is,
way to put it, right?
yeah. In a way that I really wasn't expecting, because from what we first saw, I was expecting it to be Ori and the Blind Forest, and it's totally not. And yeah, it's not like fully open world, which is also what I thought at the start. It doesn't have combat, but it does have these bad guys that are basically, I think they're called the Silent Ones, and they're basically like putting all of the animals in chains, and you go through the story trying to find out why they're doing that and how to save the animals from those people or beings or whatever. And it seems like a lot of stealth sequences, but I think that those are supposed to be puzzles in themselves. I don't think they'll get repetitive. And it looks like there are creative ways to like lure them out from wherever they are. Like maybe you like find something that's edible and like try and lure them out, or like trick them into attacking each other, which is possible as well. So like a lot of different examples of that. But yeah, I got like Shadows of the Colossus vibes in kind of some of the grand scales of the game. And then obviously Ori in the art style and Zelda. So I'm like super sold on this.
You and I both played Star Wars Battlefront.
Yes.
Did you realize you were playing on a PS4 Pro?
No.
Yeah, so that's like that last game, which I adored, never really got a Pro upgrade because it kind of was released, I guess, like
It was
year
released
before that?
way too far in advance. I think
Yeah.
it got like a nice like ultra PC settings, but nothing.
Yeah, that was
optimized
about
for
it. And by the time the Game of the Year version, Season Pass stuff was done, the Pro was out, but they never patched it, or they never sort of retroactively went back to look at it. But yeah, that game is stunning.
It is.
Like it's seriously incredibly
Yeah.
good looking,
Yeah.
and also very hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really, really liked Starfighter Assault. I liked
Yeah.
it a lot. And Slave 1 was my favorite thing because when you use the sonic boom, all of the other sounds get muted.
Oh, they added that?
Yeah.
So good.
It mutes everything in the entire game, which is kind of amazing. And the cool thing is like, so last time around, like you start out a match in that game, and everyone would rush to get these like hero tokens that were basically like, here's how you get Slave 1, here's how you get the Millennium Falcon, and no one cared about anything else but those things.
Yeah.
Because if you got them, you were like OP for the rest of the match. And in this one, you have to build up points to get those ships.
It's like a currency.
Yeah, and you can get points doing objective stuff. You can get it shooting down TIE fighters. So say like you're not good at shooting moving targets, but you really hate those shields on like the big Star Destroyer. You can just kind of jam on those shields for a while until you get 10,000 points, and then trade it in for a Slave 1 or for
Yeah.
Millennium
So
Falcon.
the demo that we played, each like hero vehicle was 1,000
Yeah,
battle points.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but they will vary when the game actually comes out. But I way prefer that system.
Yeah.
I think that's much better.
And they had Darth Maul's, what's it called? The
Scimitar.
The scimitar. It's like so it can go basically
Sith
invisible.
infiltrator.
Yeah. So it's like a stealth ship. So it kind of goes invisible and does all this cool stuff like that. Yeah, all the different ships control really well. I found out that
I think the TIE bomber was like kind of OP.
yeah.
Like that's the one that I ended up using the most because I just destroyed people with it. But I was also just very bad at evading anyone who managed to lock onto me. I just could not.
Yeah, I did an interview with them on our Gamescom live show, and like it's getting into like the nitty gritty of how they're working on that. I kind of asked them like, in the last game, you guys scanned high res models from like Lucas, like that were just like you got an ATSD and you're like, this is what it looks like. And for the prequel stuff, like they didn't make physical props for a lot of things. So they said that they actually got like the 3D models that were used in the film and kind of built up from there. So in many ways, like they could make stuff that looks better than the movies do.
They'd have to, right?
Yeah.
That is a weird thought.
Yeah.
Like the prequel assets kind of suck.
Yeah.
They just have to make them better.
They're still being like,
It totally worked too. Having like the old and new vehicles in
Yeah,
one
I
match
agree.
was like totally fine. Like,
I totally
didn't
agree.
feel weird at all.
So you can fly like the little ship that the little kid flew in like Phantom Menace or whatever.
Maybe.
the little kid.
That young boy.
Yeah, there was some sort of yellow banana ship that a sweet little boy
yeah.
flew around, and
sweet,
he accidentally blew up a Death Star.
I don't know how to tell you this. That little
that's
boy, he
what
grew up to
happened.
be astronaut Hitler.
That's
It really
They
did.
made
yeah.
a series of films about it.
Fight.
They're all very good.
Yeah.
I really like that movie, Star Wars, The Little Boy.
The little boy who could. But
no.
that seems crazy though to have like the classic aesthetic and the prequel aesthetic ships actually
Works really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely just like having a big box of toys and just dumping it out and being like, well, this all goes
Did
together.
I ever tell you guys that story when we were at Celebration the year that Battlefront 1 was coming out? They just in every interview or like every presentation would say Battle Fantasies. So now every time that I like, because that's the accent, and they're saying Battle Fantasies, and that's like their PR term that they
Right.
keep using, right? So
Sounds
like every
like
time
Bottle
they're like,
Fantasies.
we just wanted to really like encapsulate the Battle Fantasies that we had as children. So now every time that I think of that game, it's Battle Fantasies.
That was actually the
really
working
sounds
title
like
for
you're
Star
saying
Wars.
Bottle Fantasies, which sounds like a
Bottle
Bjork
Fantasies.
album.
That works too.
I am Bjork and these
but
are Bottle Fantasies.
I absolutely loved it. I think like of all the games that I played, that might have been my favorite.
So did I tell you, like, during my session, I just got wrecked. I was in, like, last
I got
place
pretty
every
wrecked at
time.
the start. Were you just getting disorientated?
No,
Did
I
you
found
flip?
out. Well, I was, because I found out, well, first of all, if you hit the left stick, you roll now,
Yeah.
which means that you'll be just cycloning through space a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're starting out, don't do that
Well, because it's
unless you know what you're doing.
was
tips.
it DICE that was working on vehicles this one?
Yeah.
Which like they're so good at speed.
No, it's Criterion who's doing the vehicle stuff.
Yeah.
It is. Sorry.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they know their vehicle stuff, and it was like
Yes.
that was a weird thing I was asking them. I was like, "You guys make really realistic vehicle physics,
Yeah.
and now you're making like fake alien ships."
Yeah. But
And they're like,
they
"Yeah,
they
that's-
feel fast. They
This
really
is what
do.
we thought it would feel like, you know.
Yeah.
But I found out I was in a match against like 20 pro players. I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks, bros." look me up with those dudes. That's cool.
I did pretty good when I played, and I didn't find it that hard. But like, yeah, definitely at first
That's
I was.
because you're a pro gamer.
It's true. Thank you. But at first I was definitely flipping a lot. But you know, having the arrows pointing where everything you need to go to is like made it really easy
Yeah.
to do.
I mean, just at a glance, like this.
I also
this game
committed
has
suicide quite a bit.
so much more going on.
spaceship.
Like, so much more like detail and just like the fact that there are objectives to go after.
Yeah. I mean, the objectives are very basic, but it's
Yeah.
still something driving you. Yeah.
Max, the thing you'll like the most is that when you blow up, which will happen all the time, you're pretty much back in the map in like 15
Oh,
seconds.
it's way faster.
and not 45 like
Good,
last time.
good.
Yeah.
That
Last time
that
was just sort of like,
That always just feels like a commute.
Check
you know?
the
You're
phone
like,
and yeah.
you're like, all right, well, I'm going to be just flying for a moment here.
yeah, they're still being like weirdly cagey about how much content is going to be there at launch, which
CA.
Thank you for your question about how much content is going to be there at launch. We don't have anything to announce right now, but
We're really
we'll have more to
focused on-
we'll have more to.
We're glad you're
to
excited about
Share
the content
as we get closer to time. So I'm really fixated on this prequels thing. Do they have Jar Jar?
no, because
This
the thing
That's the
everyone
question.
wants. So I think he's going to be there somewhere in some way. They'll sneak him. He'll be running in through the back of like some corridor somewhere. They did a lot of stuff like that in the last game where you'd be like, you don't have Gamorrean guards, but like in a jail cell in Jabba's palace, or like two of them are sleeping on the floor. You know, like there's a tauntaun skeleton stuck in a wall somewhere.
I just like what the fans want. Like everything that they couldn't get into the game, they're like, put another jail cell, just make them sleeping in.
Yeah,
there.
just sleeping in the back.
Well,
with Jar
that's
Jar in
what
the
you
back of the
asked
jail
for.
cell. Yeah, I mean that's
If they're
pretty
sleeping
much
in a jail cell, we don't have to animate them.
with Star Wars fans. That's kind of what we want. I mean, what I don't want is like that shot in
what?
Rogue One. Well, look at like Rogue One. They were like, "Hey, remember the blue milk? There it is." And you're like, "Yeah, I know the blue milk." There, if they had just put the blue milk in a jail cell in the back of Rogue One.
I think they might.
Done.
I think they might do Gungans. I think they might have like a whole like Battle of Naboo, like the full field and the boomers and the
I want their ragdoll physics to be completely broken. Like you shoot one, it's just like, "Ah!"
I want their like weird their bunny ears to be just flying around everywhere like Roger Rabbit. Just
Yeah.
way too physical, very nasty.
I like that.
All right.
So speaking of disgusting,
disturbingly
mutated
fleshy.
things, there was that game Biomutant, which is. Can we please talk about that because you guys actually got to see it in action?
Yeah, Biomutant was on our live show. They had announced the game basically at the start of Gamescom. So we went from not knowing anything about this game to it being our, I think, most popular game out of Gamescom.
One of them,
right?
yeah, in terms of views on the stuff we uploaded to YouTube, like it performed super well.
Yeah, it did
I
crazy well.
didn't see anything about this. What is the basic?
It's Just Cause Aliens. That's it.
Yeah, so it's like former Just Cause devs split off from the studio to make their own thing, and they started this new sort of 3D open world-ish action platforming game where you can make vehicles and stuff like that, starring mutated animals that have to
okay.
battle
Yeah.
bad guys.
Oh, like
and-
like biomutants.
It's got kind of like a
Okay.
like a cyberpunk Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nims kind of vibe to it.
The animals look cool.
Yeah, you get to be like a neon pink raccoon who goes around and like gets like hot air balloons and mech suits to.
Okay, a lot is happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Neon pink raccoon that gets hot air balloons?
Yeah.
Where do you pre-order?
Yeah, it looks. Here's some footage of it right here. You put your hand in nasty water and it turns all Gila monstery.
Yeah. So they wouldn't let me know if like humans were ever really part of this world, but it seems like they weren't. Like,
We don't have anything to announce about humans at this time.
yeah, we can't talk about humans at this time, but there is a car
Juana's
door in
on
the
top
game
of
that
it.
you
Who
can use as a
cares? You're
shield.
like a one-eyed cat. It's great.
I want to know about the lore. I want to know about the world. So basically, yeah, you encounter different groups of aliens that are basically like these tribal gangs, and they all have different.
I like this
weird
funny little
quirks.
raccoon boy. He's
Yeah, they're
he's a
like main
sweetie.
character's awesome. He's just like really fun to watch.
I'm a big fan of his Buster Sword.
Yeah. Are you playing? Do you play as many different animal types, or are you that little raccoon?
I think
boy?
you just play
No,
as that one.
You can be
raccoon the whole-
fat
Oh,
though.
really?
Like there's a whole like sort of slider where we have a video up of just like showing like full character customization, and you can like change the color of the fur and the type of stripes, and it looks pretty robust, and you can I don't know, pick what your like interests are. There's like a part at the beginning where they take you to
what
like,
your interests?
well, there's like
Favorite food.
It takes you to like a literal like
really into genealogy.
like hobbies include, I don't know, like you write check out your resume, update your LinkedIn page or whatever. You get to like this literal crossroads, and it's like, are you like an anti-hero or are you kind of more of like a goody-goody or whatever?
Yeah.
And you choose sort of, it's interesting because it's like the direction you choose to go is like your character's choice in that sense, which is, it seems really interesting though.
Looks awesome.
Very excited about that.
Did they show more gameplay stuff, or because the thing we were just looking at was like a pre-run?
Yeah, there's a we
was-
did
You guys
like
get
a
to play it?
we put up like a 13-minute
Yeah, there wasn't a ton. But
It'll be playable at PAX also. So
That's
Oh,
like
really?
hugely reassuring too, that they're like, hey, here's a playable thing. The CG trailer is just to get you excited, but
Yeah.
it actually does kind of look like that. It's,
yeah, I totally agree. I think like the sort of the 3 days of being like, we don't know what this is. We have an idea what this is. This is what it actually looks like in motion. It
Yeah.
just really reassured me that this was a real video game, which you don't really get a lot of.
it's like the Beyond Good and Evil 2 problem, right? Is like they had that trailer drop. It was the coolest thing ever. I literally cried. And then they showed it behind closed doors to like 10 journalists. And Marty and I were two of them. So it's like they didn't really prove to anyone that that's a game. So everyone's just like, this is going to come out in 8 years' time.
Right.
Like it functions.
Yeah, it
functional.
was like an idea.
Yeah, I think that's really the thing that these guys have to do with Biomutant is release it within, I don't know, year and a half.
Yeah.
Get it out there, ship it.
Because people are so excited for it now.
Yeah. Strike while the iron is hot and the animals are pink.
Yeah, I think people were just really excited. It's a new thing.
Yeah.
It isn't like a sequel or remake or prequel
Yeah.
or sequel prequels.
Speaking of remakes, one big huge
pre-sequel.
announcement is Secret of Mana is coming to PS4 and Vita on February 15th.
Yeah.
This is cool. Secret of Mana is a great game. That's like one of those kind of classic like Squaresoft RPGs from back in the day. It was on Super Nintendo.
According to this piece of paper, also coming out on Steam. It looks like.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I know this is a PlayStation podcast.
I
but
just
Oh,
as a
you don't
PC
mention-
gamer, I'm
glossed right
excited
over that.
about it.
Yeah.
Please leave.
I just steamrolled right over that.
I'll show myself out. Secret of Mana, that was the Super Nintendo title? Okay, I thought so.
Seiken Densetsu.
Top down sort of like hack and slash, optionally multiple.
Yeah, it was a Super Nintendo co-op Enix, I guess,
Yeah.
before they were Square Enix
Yeah.
RP, which is like that was a crazy sentence to exist in
Yeah.
like 1995
Yeah,
or
no,
whatever.
totally.
But yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
we didn't get a lot of games like this. This game's adorable looking. Like,
Yeah.
it looks really good. I really liked this game back in the day.
Look at that.
I don't know. I
man.
don't know 100% about that Griffin's face, but aside from that, I'm
You don't like his
Well, that's
his
how
weird
people
haircut?
feel about you, maybe, Steve. Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. He's our guest. You can't just say that.
I just
Yeah,
got
also the
summarily
Griffin.
roasted
Sorry.
Beyond.
beyond the pale.
Man, that's rough.
I'm like
So it's like a 3D remake. It's like
Yeah,
a full
they
like
did,
reconstruction.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
They put
I
out
mean,
like
well, unless it was just that trailer, but the original game was 2D.
Yeah, they put out Legend of Mana a couple years ago, which is also on Vita, and it was like using the same kind of sort of battle system and everything. And it was, I think it's going to be still sort of same camera angle, but it's going to be polygons running.
Right,
around.
right.
It's supposed to
Was the Legend of Mana one? That was the original one for that was a PS1 game, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, like I was always, I never liked Secret of Mana as much as the weird American sort of like bastard spin-off Secret of Evermore, because like Secret of Mana is like super colorful, very neon, and that's fine and everything. But I feel like looking at this trailer, it's very cutesy, looks kind of like Nintendo DS-y. And I feel like that's probably what they were actually going for with the original sprite art. But I have like this different kind of conception of what it looks like in my head.
Yeah.
It's cool to see a like sort of beloved RPG being remade in just a few months and not, I don't know, 10 years
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah.
Final Fantasy 7
Yeah, what happened to that game?
I mean, they probably overscoped. I don't know. Steve, you make video games. What happened to that game?
How do you make Final Fantasy 7 episodic?
Yeah, solve that.
That does seem
And go.
that does seem hard. I don't know. I mean, that game was kind of in chapters, but a lot
Yeah.
less than. I mean, once you get out into the open world, it's
Exactly.
pretty
That's the
open.
part that I
Right.
just don't know how they'll do it.
Yeah. The game they could have made episodic would be like Chrono Trigger would be a lot more episodic-able because you kind of are unlocking time periods.
Yeah.
As you
I'm
go.
going to start weaving more and more just general dev questions into the run of show here.
I would love for you to do that.
What's it like to delay a game? Like, what is that attitude like in the room? Like, how do you get to that decision where everyone is like, we gotta say we're not ready?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's different versions of it, right? Like, so for Tacoma, we had announced the game and shown it, and then we realized we needed to kind of like take a shift in direction to get it to where we wanted it to be. That's one kind of delay where you're kind of like, okay, we don't think it's quite all the way there for like to make this like the thing we want to ship. We need to like take some more time. And the other one is just like you've been just like crunching and grinding for months and months, and you're still not done, and you got to delay it. And the first one is easier, I think, to be like, yeah, we're doing the right thing. This is going to be good for the project. And the second one, you're kind of like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I mean, either of them can be necessary to actually like get something out there. You know, it's
Is
just
it-
like ideal world. You say this is going to take 2 years, and then it does.
Does it give
But,
you that level
you know.
of relief like when you cancel plans with somebody? We're like, oh, we were supposed to go do this thing tonight. I'm excited for it, but I also like would really just would like to not to.
I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard of the version of a game getting delayed where you're sort of like, I don't feel like releasing it yet. Let's just take longer. Like that does sound to be nice. If you're just sort of like, why don't we just take an extra 6 months? We can relax a little bit.
Yeah.
I would do that if I
That doesn't exist, right?
But, I
because I
mean-
think from the outside looking
Well,
in,
probably
like,
somebody has. Like, if you're like small enough and you have enough money and you don't have like shareholders that are like you got to hit Q3 or something, then
Right.
you probably could just be like, guys, to get this out in 6 months, we're really gonna have to be busting our asses. None of us want to crunch. Let's take a little extra time, but like that is some of that
And most-
that golden.
well, yeah, exactly. I was going to say, because most studios don't really have the advantage going in from the jump to sort of just be like, we're making a video game. We'll let you know when it's done. You have
Right.
to kind of have to be like Q2.
Yeah, well, I mean,
2019.
because it's hard to get something finished when you don't have a finish line. Because you could keep working on something forever. if
Right.
you want.
Yeah, I've heard that a game is never finished, only ever shipped.
Yep.
The idea being that like no one is ever actually like, okay, it's done.
Yep.
We don't have anything else to add. It's just like, all right, we decided that we had to finish and ship
Yeah.
everything.
100%. Yeah.
Now, like, is there sort of an initial relief after delaying something, and then sort of that horrible morning after where you're like, oh, there's still all the work. It's not like we're.
I mean, for what we did, it was like, okay, we have to delay it because we have a bunch of stuff to figure out. So it was just different work. It was like you have to go back and you're going to be like trying to do a bunch of like design work and iteration and discussion and like find the specifics of what you're trying to do. So really I don't really feel like, at least for my experience, it's not like a relief thing. It's just sort of like all right, we're not doing the finish the game work right now. We're doing this other, possibly harder work of like, it's figuring a stuff out work instead of getting stuff done work. And then the getting stuff done work happens after that. So it's just more work.
Yeah.
But, you know, like the thing is, the figuring it out can be really hard. And you're just like, what game are we making? We don't know what game we're making. But then when you do have those breakthroughs and you're like, okay, now we know what it is and we can make it. And yes, we're making it. Like that is the point that you want to get to where it's satisfying. You're like, okay, we took the time. Now we know the real answers to this stuff. And now we have to execute instead of like not really being solid on the thing that you're putting on screen.
Is there like a weird dance of like not over promising to begin with? Because I know like we talked about No Man's Sky all for like a year, and I think a big part of that was them sort of being like, you're gonna be able to do this and this and this, and then them being like, we're not talking to anyone ever again. We're scared. Like, which I kind of
Sean
understand.
Murray.
Yeah, it was just like a weird. That whole situation was just like all these people expectations really high.
And they didn't accept. They
promising
had
really
an
high.
award at GDC and didn't accept it, and everyone was like, "They didn't come to GDC," and they were just like, "Oh no, we were just eating dinner.
Yeah.
We didn't know. We didn't realize that we were going to win an award."
It
I was like, "They still haven't showed up."
So is that like I mean, because I know like even we're huge Star Wars fans here. We just talked about Star Wars for 15 minutes. Like Rogue One had 7 trailers in a row that weren't in the movie,
Right.
And ultimately, like that movie got a free pass.
This
I'd
is a
say.
rebellion, isn't it?
Yeah.
I rebel.
Exactly. The scene with the
movie.
TIE fighter comes up. But no one ever goes like, no one ever boycotts Rogue One. No one went to the AMC theaters and they're like, give me my money back. That didn't give me what I promised. With movies, it's just like, it's fine. You see a movie trailer that has a bunch of stuff in it that isn't in the final version of the film.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah. And we're like so quick to just go like, that's fine. That's okay. But me as a Star Wars fan, I'm like, how come you didn't have that cool scene? That you're missing a lot of the exposition and stuff like that. So is it like when you guys first started showing like teasers for Tacoma and stuff, was there this idea that like we have to keep everything in the teaser in the final version of the game because what if we don't? People are gonna be mad.
That's the thing. I've been involved with projects that people had more of those concerns where they're sort of like, well, if we don't put the thing from the whatever the E3 demo in the game, then people will be like, where's that thing? And I'm sort of like, I don't know that people actually care that much. Like if the game is good and they liked what they played, it probably won't be that big of a deal unless you were like, and we're gonna have drivable tanks, and there's just no drivable tanks in the game.
Right.
But like
Unless
individuals,
you're Colonial Marines, it's not really.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you're like, we're gonna have this big feature and it's just not there, then obviously that's not good. But like, if you're sort of like, but where was that one scripted event from that one level that you showed at E3 2 years ago? It's kind of like, I don't know, we cut that, but I hope you like the game we did ship.
I think you had like a cool thing happening with Gone Home specifically was I heard a lot of the dialogue leading into that game was people saying, don't read anything about it. Don't watch anything about it. Just sit down and play. Like, actually, that's how I played it. Greg Miller texted me.
Right.
And he was like, you got to play this game. Like, I don't know what you're doing tonight. It's going to take you like 2 hours. Don't watch our review. Don't watch anything on YouTube. So I literally knew nothing about your game.
Yeah,
other
yeah.
than like you were coming in up at noon the next day to do our show.
Okay, yeah.
And I sat down that night and I played it start to finish without knowing anything, was floored. And then you came in and I had all these questions for you, which is like puts me in a really cool position because very few people can like beat a game and then talk to the guy that made it the next day. But I think that's an interesting spot too, which like there's like that sort of self-imposed media blackout.
Yeah.
Rather than I need every new screen, I need every new content drop. Like
I've avoided everything I can to do with Hellblade because I haven't been able to play it yet.
Yeah.
So I've avoided seeing anything about that game. Like I'm kind of the opposite with movies, excepting Star Wars actually. Like I will like
Really, you like to find out as much as possible about a movie before you see it?
I think so,
That's
out
crazy.
of curiosity.
That's crazy. No, that's just the opposite of me because like my ideal experience is just like all I've heard is the movie's good.
Yep.
You should see it. And maybe just like the very most basic premise, but like
Yeah.
the less I can know about a good movie before
you
I
don't-
see
I'm
it,
not going
the
to
better.
watch anything else from The Last Jedi. Like I don't want to see
Yeah, the problem is like you don't always get that option, right? Like Max and I they'll send us a box and we open it up and it's a bunch of toys from the new movie and I'm like, oh man, that's like Snoke wears a gold dress now. Like what the hell?
Spoilers, man. Damn.
Weird stuff like that.
Snoke is wearing a gold dress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like
It's the belle of the ball.
All right.
like a pimp's robe.
It's an exciting subplot.
Yeah.
It's weird.
No, it's like I don't know. It's just a weird like going into anything with expectations. I think will work against you. I mean, that can be like a real life situation. Going to a party, being like, oh, the following people are going to be there. I have a mental image of what the house looks like, and you show up and you're like, this is nothing like I expected. And the following
Expectations
people are
versus reality.
Yeah.
Well, there's something that's really strange about that with releasing Tacoma was like we were super fortunate and grateful that so many people like had a really strong response to Gone Home and like, we're like a lot of people kind of like connected with that game. And then releasing Tacoma, like there's, I think, literally no review that doesn't start with talking about like Gone Home.
Yeah.
And I think that having that point of comparison is definitely a very different experience to people who are just like, what's this game about a house? You're like,
Right.
oh, I remember Gone Home and I remember how I felt about it. And this is in comparison to that instead of like standing on
Tacoma
its own.
is spoken about as from the developers have Gone Home.
Right.
Yeah.
Which has its positives, but is also like just it puts totally
It's a
different
completely
expectations
different
in
game.
people's heads.
well, it's like look at Jackie Brown. Like that said from the director of Pulp Fiction.
Right.
It's like yeah, but it's also Jackie Brown.
Right.
It's an awesome movie on its own, and people were like, but it's not Pulp Fiction, and
Yeah.
you're like. Yeah, but it's really great. And like, maybe you don't appreciate that right now, but like someday you'll understand that this is a really cool movie. It's just different than the other movie.
right. Like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, Jackie Brown, that's his best movie. But at the time, I think it was totally like, but what about it being Pulp Fiction again?
Why
Yeah.
not Pulp Fiction? Why don't you give me that exact feeling again twice?
I mean, I haven't played Tacoma yet, but even just going into it, I know that it's got sci-fi elements. It's in space, you know. And Gone Home, I went in completely cold, like Brian. So it's sort of like, I mean, I don't know how that's going to affect things. You know? Like I don't know what it is in my head.
Isn't it inspired by that play in New York?
Have you done that? Sleep No More?
I really want to try and go, and I've heard that like a lot of devs have said their games have been inspired by Sleep No More.
Yeah, if you're in the New York area, you should totally get a ticket to Sleep No More, which is an immersive theater production that's still going on. And yeah, if you've played Tacoma and you're in the New York area and haven't gone to Sleep No More, I think you'll find it very interesting.
Recently, which is why
he like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he's still there.
No, it's
I heard he never left. He
doesn't sleep anymore.
Some say he's still there today.
Some say at night when the lights go out, you can hear him go. Ah!
That's the classic Marty sound. Yeah. Yeah.
Max just slid one in there. Nobody else caught it.
What'd you say?
What'd I do?
Oh, you guys are just going wild, and you're just like, yeah, he just doesn't sleep anymore.
I do that all the time. I just say these stupid things.
I love
somebody
it.
chimes in the comments or something.
The Easter eggs.
Yeah, Easter eggs. Find them if you dare.
Get them while they're hot. Those hot Easter eggs.
Steve,
you guys ever just had a good, just hot Easter egg on Easter morning?
No, that's awful.
You know what I like about Easter is it's like the only time of year that they'll just sell you a whole dozen hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah,
Like
That's
you gotta-
only an American thing, I think. That is not a thing in Australia.
Where's Greg and Colin?
I miss Greg and Colin.
They come back.
No, the show's going great. You're just very jet lagged. We're totally sticking to these bullet points that I carefully assembled. We're not even halfway through.
We've gotten
the first side
through
of this.
3 of them.
fine.
Yeah.
Killing it.
Should we move on?
Yes.
Are you a fan of the Yakuza games, Steve?
I am.
Can we talk about that? Because nobody else I know plays them.
I want to, and I love to.
Okay.
Hit me.
Okay, so we got a bunch of announcements. Last week, Yakuza Kiwami, first of all, is out today, which is the kind of modern, full-blown remake of the first Yakuza game. It's $30. It's on PSN. If you've never played any Yakuza game, it's a pretty good starting off point. Have you touched this at all?
I mean, I played the original one when it came out, but I haven't played or even looked at the remake stuff. But I've heard that they're doing that and Yakuza 2 as a high-res remake.
Have you played Zero at all?
I have, yeah.
So, yeah.
I've played up into the first time that you go to Osaka because that's the one that's in the 80s, right?
Right.
Because just to be fair, there's a lot of Yakuza games.
Really
And there are about to be even more.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized that.
Well, I reviewed one of them and then had a conversation like last year and was like, oh, yeah, I reviewed this one. And was like, wait, no, not that one. It was just like Wikipediaing and being like, what happened in the plot of all of these games so I can figure out which one I reviewed.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I really like Yakuza 0 a lot. I think that the whole 80s setting works really well for that series,
How about those fishing minigames?
You hit people and money flies out of them.
which is one of my favorite things
It's
to do,
great.
generally speaking.
That's like a River City Ransom joint.
No, these games are like The Witcher 3 meets River City Ransom, and I love them for that.
Well, they're also by a bunch of the original Shenmue team is still like involved with those games. So what it feels like to me is that they made Shenmue and they were like, okay, that was like critically acclaimed, but it's like a weird game and people talk about sailors all the time, whatever. And then they were like, what if you were just a badass Yakuza guy who did Shenmue stuff, but also just kicked the shit out of everybody? Yeah. What if we made that? And then they made 40 of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Apparently that idea was the right one.
I love in Yakuza 0, there's just this one like NPC you keep beating the crap out of who just pretty much is Shenmue. Like he's just like this dude in like a fleece lined jacket who's just walking around. You're like, I'm sorry for hitting you with that bicycle so many times,
It
sir.
reminded me of like the Underworld movies where you're like, all right, these are popular somewhere, but how?
Yeah.
I used to love those.
The Underworld movies?
I mean, I will say there's putting aside all the ones that are being announced now, like I feel like if you wanted to, you could be a gamer who exclusively plays Yakuza games and just never
fine.
run. Like there's like 10,000 hours of Yakuza out there to play if you want.
They're
It's
long
crazy.
games. They're very dense. But yeah, like Kiwami's out today. It's $30, and if it's like a starting point, and I've been playing that and Zero kind of side by side.
Yeah.
And I feel like the story in Kiwami is like considerably, because it's the first story, it's considerably more concise and like kind of to the point. Whereas Zero is like all over the place because it's doing that kind of prequel thing where they're like, remember this guy? And I'm like, I don't. This is my first time. I don't know who that man is.
I'm really excited that they're doing Yakuza 2 as a remake because that's honestly, I haven't played all of them because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But Yakuza 2 out of the ones I've played is my favorite one because it felt like it was almost like it was a very direct sequel and it felt like it was the one that they had the least budget to just make like endless cutscenes in. So it's very gameplay focused and there's just tons of really crazy side quests, but it's just like it really gets to the heart of what I love about Yakuza, which is just that it's this gonzo version of being in Tokyo where you're just going into all these little crazy short stories and then you come out the other side and you have some XP and then you do some more and then there's some weirdo that needs your help on the corner. And like Yakuza 2, I loved it when it came out and I'm glad that more people get to play it because it was only ever on the PS2. I think it's one of those games that like didn't do well, so they never made very many copies of it. So it's actually like kind of rare.
Oh,
even.
really?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah.
So that comes out in December in Japan, and if I had to guess, it's probably going to be around. It's going to be out stateside, which they haven't announced, but based on kind of the pattern they're doing this, that'll probably be out around this time of year next year. But in the meantime, in like the spring winter, we get Yakuza 6, which is totally new story, kind of standing on its own, and that's the first one that's on this new engine they've been working with. It's made specifically for PS4. Like,
okay.
Kiwami and Yakuza 0 are both running on like basically a PS3 grade hardware.
Not super good looking games.
They look at times they look great.
I think Yakuza 0 is quite good looking, especially because
Pretty bland for most of what I saw.
I mean, I really like that they have a really like kind of incredible level of density to the city.
Yeah.
Like when you're going through the streets, there's just so much
Yeah.
signage and people, and like I really love some of the. That's something that's interesting about seeing a game that is clearly just been built on like the same engine, the same foundation for like 10, 15 years is you just see the weird little things that clearly they were like, we're putting this in this time. So like the first time we noticed it was in Yakuza 0. It might have been an earlier one, but there's some NPCs that are just walking around the city just like holding hands. Just kind of unspokenly. It's just like you see a
adorable.
couple. And if you like run into them, they like, stop holding hands and then they go back together and walk down the street more. And those kinds of little details are cool. And I mean, since it's basically a PS3 game, it like runs super smooth. It's like 60 frames per second all the time. And that feels really good to be running around the streets. But
yeah, they're. I mean, it's funny. They remind me of that kind of like high school fan art where it's like you really focus on the details you want to draw.
Right.
So
yeah.
like mob bosses, and you're like, holy crap, I can see his pores. They're so
you're right.
detailed.
Totally right.
You're like, wow, that sword I just got is really cool. And then you'll be like, that suit looks like it is from a PS2 game. Like there's just some textures that are like, whatever.
Yeah,
who
I guess I
cares?
feel like some of the colors on the streets are bland, but then when I'm thinking about it, there's like, the markets, and that's super busy. Like they do have a lot of stuff in them. It's just not very bright.
I love all the like neon signage that's all up on the walls.
Yeah,
though. Anyway, it's just cool being in that space when you're playing. I feel.
So that's awesome. I'm like completely just head over heels in these games.
They never brought any of the ones over that are not modern, right? Like they didn't localize any of the like samurai ones, right?
No, I don't think so.
Man, I wish they would do that.
There's like a zombie one too.
Oh yeah, I think they did bring that over.
Yeah.
Yakuza: The End, which was
did.
about like machine gunning zombies. Like I think that the guy with the eye patch has like a minigun for an arm or something. I don't know.
I would check out. Yeah.
Yep.
So-
Totally the Underworld movies.
Yeah, they're adding more though. They just announced Yakuza Online, which is going to be on smartphones and PC. And there's like a whole new character who looks like Spike Spiegel with a beard, kind of. And it takes place after Yakuza 6. So if you're trying, I don't know when this is even going to come to the West, if ever. If you're trying to avoid spoilers for Yakuza 6, maybe don't play the smartphone game. And then if that wasn't enough, they have announced that the Yakuza team is working on a Fist of the North Star game, which is called, bear with me, the title is Hokuto ga Gotoku. And that's a portmanteau of Yakuza's Japanese name, which is Ryu ga Gotoku. I'm not even saying
Yeah,
it.
Gotoku is my favorite Dragon Ball character.
That's a good one.
Gotoku, yeah.
That's the evolution,
And then
right?
Gotoku.
And then there's Fist
Where are all
of
the
North
Dragon
Star,
Balls?
Fist of the North Star is Hokuto no Ken. So they've taken these two hard to pronounce non-localized names and fused them into one. Fist of the North Star is, of course, basically like anime Kung Fu Mad Max, where people get punched so hard that they explode into guts for no reason. It's a match made in heaven.
It's because he attacks all of their pressure points with such force that then it builds up and explodes their bodies.
Yeah.
That's true.
He does
Because
it.
of
He does
blood
it, and then
physics.
they laugh, and then he says, "You're already dead," and then they explode.
Very good.
It's awesome.
I'm so down with that. Like that's going to be just a disgusting, wonderful mess if it is anything like the Yakuza games.
I'm extremely excited about that idea. Like the Yakuza team doing a Fist of the North Star post-apocalyptic punch guys so much they explode game is
Yeah, that sounds
that's my
great.
whole life.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing about Yakuza, though, is you don't really murder anybody, like here and there, I guess. But
Oh, that's the weird thing.
no, like that's because you play GTA, and they're like, "Welcome to the tutorial. Please kill 18 civilians to progress to the next. We'll teach you how to use the start menu or whatever."
Yeah.
And like in Yakuza, they're like, "There's been one murder,
Yeah.
and you're the culprit, but you're not." And you're like, "But like you." Get more murders. Come on. Like, and you'll like beat somebody to death with like a fish tank or something, and then he'll just be like, "That hurt." And you're
Yeah.
like, "Okay, well, fair enough." Anyway, this week we've got a ton of games coming out, so we're going to go through this pretty quickly. First things first, it's Everybody's Golf, which is one of the few first-party Sony games coming out this fall. It is a game where everybody is golf.
Andrew really likes it.
Yeah.
Oh, also, we decided that there would be an IGN DLC for this game, and it's What's Up Everybody's Golf.
Yep. I like it.
There we go.
The box art for this game is great. It's just says Everybody's Golf, and there's a big golf ball, and all these people are real happy about it. But then you flip it over, and it says, do activities other than golf. Like, okay.
It actually seems like a very fun game.
I know, but they should be like, you can also play tennis or you can drive.
Yeah.
To be like, you can do stuff other than the thing you're supposed to do here. Bit weird.
I find that alluring.
Yeah, it's
You're the target market
it's
for
charming.
that.
What's up, everybody's
slogan.
golf?
it's also just sort of vague because it's like who like,
What's up, everybody's golf? We will not be golfing today. I'm going to drive us
activities.
over to the tennis court.
Yeah, but like, I mean, who are they trying to appeal to? Who's going to pick up a game that's just called Everybody's Golf and they'll be like, I'm not partial to golf, but perhaps I'll go in for further inspection.
Andrew
Go over,
Goldbob. It's Andrew
interesting.
Goldbob.
There's
It's
more
definitely
to do.
Andrew.
Yeah.
When they say other
yeah.
things to do, they mean fishing and driving the golf cart around the golf course. So just dad stuff on the
Can you
course.
drive it into the lake and leave it there?
I hope so.
I'm going to take home a copy and find out. I'm very excited about this game.
Please report back and let us know. What's up, Everybody's Golf?
There we go. Then there's Life is Strange Before the Storm, which is the prequel.
I previewed this. Not a fan. It ran very badly. But it's also just that the main character is Chloe, and it's before Life is Strange. And I just think that she is an incredibly unlikable character. And in the preview that I played, she says one positive thing and it's optional. So it's like she just is very angry. And she's been through some stuff. Like if you played Life is Strange when they're like it was a death in her family, her best friends have abandoned her, she's like very alone and she's a teenager. But it's like she's just so intolerable that I find it infuriating to play.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Prequels
What's
are
up,
hard.
Everybody's Golf?
I don't know. Just having a prequel is just a hard problem
It's
too, because
also-
you're sort of
Yeah.
like, we know what's going to happen after this.
Well, it's also interesting
So it's just
because
tough
it
to, like,
doesn't
make
have
that
the
compelling.
time manipulation mechanic.
Yeah.
So it is really basically what they've replaced it with is like a kind of conflict resolution system. Chloe gets into a lot of fights because she's a dick, and then you have to just try and get your way out of them, basically. So
Yeah, I think there's been maybe 2 or 3 times in like the history of pop culture where I've seen something and been like, that's great. Tell me about what they were like growing up.
yeah,
And it's been good too. Like I think like honestly, like I watched Better Call Saul. That's
Right.
the closest thing I've come to being like, this happened before the events of a thing I like.
Yeah.
And it's fleshing out the story more.
Yeah, that's
like most
one-
things just don't.
That's one of the examples. Yeah, what
it's also
other
not made
examples?
by Don't Nod. It's a different studio as well,
Right.
because they are making a Life is Strange 2, I believe. Don't Nod are. So it's
Yeah. What are other good prequels?
I don't know if that
Star Wars: The Young Boy, as I remember.
the young
Yeah,
boy who
yeah.
Star Wars: The Little Boy is like a really good one. Yeah,
like my go-to was going to be
little boy who drives a car.
Assassin's Creed Revelations has a bunch of throwbacks to
Yeah.
Altair, which I
don't-
loved so
I don't-
fondly,
does
but that
that
doesn't count really.
does that even count though? Because that's entirely a game about going back in time to stuff.
It is a good point.
Yeah,
Like the whole series is technically a prequel.
Yeah.
At
I
that point.
guess we were just talking about Yakuza 0, which is a prequel.
Yeah,
and it's
that's
in the
true.
80s, and I actually liked it a lot.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point. Yeah.
all right. Well,
All
problem
right, we
solved.
figured it out. There we go.
Better Call Saul.
Star
and-
Wars the young boy.
and
Star Wars:
the
The
young
Little Boy with
Yeah.
the yellow car,
and the
Boy who
throwbacks in Assassin's Creed Revelations.
which might be its own prequel. Always.
Who knows?
The Animus.
Also out this week is Absolver, which is a very strange game that Devolver's pudgeling. I don't know the word that is.
Public a video game.
This is a very hard to describe game. It's an online multiplayer fighting type game, melee combat focused, but there's like an RPG mechanic to it. There are buzzwords that they don't like you to use when you're talking about it. I've done like stand-ups about it, and they're like, could you not say this? And I can't remember what it was I'm not supposed to say. But for my kind of takeaway from this when I first checked it out is that it's like a fighting game where two people kick the crap out of each other, except after that's over, it doesn't just go, you win, and then it's onto like a menu. You actually walk away from the fight. So you're like exploring this world, and they're like having these one-on-one encounters. So it's got this, I mean, apparently there's more than just one-on-one, so
it's like an open world exploration game, and then you do fighty game
do the
style.
fights.
but any one of those words could be a no-no buzzword. I'm not sure. It might not be proper open world.
I really like that we cut to the footage of someone seemingly getting caught on a rock for a bit.
Yeah,
That's good.
I think you can use whatever words you want, man.
Yeah.
I agree.
Some
Thanks,
words I get in trouble if I use them at work, but otherwise, yes. But yeah, this looks like just a really interesting game, and like the whole combo system is very like I think you like unlock.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it's published by Devolver. It's called Absolver. It's
called- yeah.
Aren't they also publishing a game called Ruiner?
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
There's a lot of that naming convention. I think they were
There's
just
also
like,
a game out
that
this week.
sounds like our publisher, and that one does too. We're in.
There's
It
a
was
game
like
out this week called
Tacoma.
Observer also.
Which they didn't publish. That was
They didn't
Homer.
pu- yeah. So we've got
Gone
Absolver
Homer.
and Observer and the Gone Homer.
Yeah, and Tacoma.
We got the
Comer.
in your accent. Yes, then it works.
Well, I just say Tacoma. I have to put in an on it because I say it sounds the same both
Tacoma.
ways. Tacoma and
I
Tacoma.
like that.
All right.
we did get the Simpsons license. We are making Gone
Gone
Homer.
Homer.
Take-
Excellent. Excellent.
False.
It's IGN exclusive. What's up, everybody's golf?
All right. Another game out this week is last day of June. They sent out promotional tissues for this, not because it's overtly sexy, but because it's very sad.
It's a Marty game.
It's a Marty game, or so they want it to be. I haven't heard much about this. It's got this very stylized, kind of cartoony looking people.
Can you cut back to Max really quick for 1 second?
Please cut back to me.
Why does he look so much like the Nathan Drake that's right next to him?
Oh, you kind of do.
Nathan Drake looks really angry.
It's probably the
Yeah, well, I mean, if Max was a little bit more frustrated.
look angry.
Yeah, there you go. There it was.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, okay, maybe not that much.
That's all right.
Sorry, you were saying about crying?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like one of those sad games. In not sad game news, there's Rock of Ages 2, which is bigger, badder, bolder. Did you guys play the Rock of Ages game?
I did. It's by what's the name of the studio? Do you remember? My brain is failing me, but they made oh god damn it. They're
good.
I know. I'm doing amazing.
Did they make Fat Princess? Is it the same?
No.
Okay.
Rock of Ages is they're Chilean, and they made
that's
those
cool.
first person melee combat games. They're from like 8 years ago. They had a really weird art
Condemned?
style. No, sorry, that was Monolith Productions.
He says first-person combat games, and you go to Condemned.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
a
first-person
combat game.
punching
You fight
game.
the homeless
That's what I'm
man
talking
and the
about.
bear.
You can fight the homeless man.
Yes.
No, you
know
must.
what? You know how I
You have no
describe that
choice.
game? It's Dead Pigeon Fetch Quest.
Really? You
Yeah.
know how I describe this conversation? Me dunking a basketball over you. Yeah.
So anyway,
What's up, everybody?
anyway,
Rock of Ages 2 is out this week as
Rock of
well.
Ages, yeah.
Now here's a very special game we're all going to talk about at great length. It's called White Day, a labyrinth named school.
Oh, I'm all for this. Okay,
This is a
go
game.
on.
This
Where did you
is-
find this? This is on PlayStation Store?
This is coming out on PlayStation this week. It's on PS4. It's
great.
a first-person survival horror-ish adventure type game, which is about a bunch of Japanese students who are locked in a haunted school, and there's a killer janitor on the loose.
Wait, isn't that
play.
basically what one of those Japanese game series that Andrew loves is about?
No,
The one that's not Pacific.
I don't think
the one
that's
that has
it.
the anime.
There we go.
Danganronpa.
Danganronpa.
Yeah. Same thing. Yeah, that's a game about a bear janitor that locks a bunch of kids.
but this is like a very specific,
Right?
very just
Yeah.
traditional janitor. He's got
Definitely.
a mop. He looks kind of scary. It looks like an odd game.
Oh, like Condemned.
Yes, much like Condemned.
Okay, so
but
I was correct. Chilean. They're called Ace Team, and they made Xenoclash,
Oh.
which is the really crazy
Yeah.
first-person punching game where like you're fighting animal people with like masks and
That's cool.
You have some sort of bird mother. Like those games are good and interesting. And then they made a game about rolling boulder through art.
Excellent.
I like the art part of that. I need to play all those games apparently.
I liked Xenoclash a lot.
yeah.
Just had to Google myself out of that hole of being like,
No,
isn't
it
that
was
by those people that did whatever or something? Anyway, a great podcast, everybody.
I do know they're Chilean. Does that help?
It helps. Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah.
Now, guys, we talk a lot about animals on this show. Do you all like bears?
Oh,
Big fan.
How about virtual
You
reality?
guys said that at the exact same time.
Why didn't you say it? Do you not like? What do you have a problem with bears for?
How do you guys feel about bears? 1, 2, 3. Big fan.
Man. Yeah.
Okay, so big fans of bears. VR, all good on VR, yeah?
fan.
Well, there are not one but 2 PlayStation VR games about bears out this week.
What?
Yeah. There are 2 games about bears. Did I stutter?
What?
Then
Alana's ears literally just perked up like
Okay.
a bear.
Well, I
There's-
just flew in from Berlin yesterday, and
Berlin?
Boy, are my arms tired.
all right.
I was going to say that like city like emblem is this really nice bear that's like doing a like hands up thing. I don't know what happened with that.
So anyway, the
I'm
Lost
living the
Bear.
disaster right
Lost
now.
Bear is a game that is out. It looks interesting. It's a game. It's like kind of a. You're like in the woods, sort of, but there are all these weird like you're in VR and you're looking at these 2-dimensional sort of like. I don't know if they're like papercraft plays about the bear.
So somebody lost a bear.
There's like a lost-
a
like a
whole
lost-
real tall bear.
I think it's a child's bear, like a toy of a bear.
Oh, a toy bear.
Yeah, which it looks interesting, very kind of artsy fartsy, but like a cool VR game. And then on the other end of the spectrum of the bears is Sneaky Bears.
Sounds great.
Which is a game where you're in a toy factory and there's just all these bad bears doing stuff, and you got to shoot them with like squirt guns. And
Do we know if both these games star the same bear?
No, they're very different bears.
They're both
Digital
toys
hero
though, right?
Bear.
No, the I guess they are both toy bears. Yeah.
Okay, so I
they're
guess
not,
they do.
They're not like conventional animal woods bears, but they're like the more popular.
They both share the BCU, the Bear Cinematic Universe.
I love that. I love that a lot.
BCU. Yeah.
So, in addition to Bear VR games, there are also a couple Vita games out this week in 2017.
Any bears?
Unclear on that at this time.
Bears unconfirmed.
Be sure to stay tuned to all of our media channels for more updates as they become
Thank
available. There's one called Still Time, which is also on PS4. It's a 2D puzzle platformer. I believe there's some time controlling stuff going on there. And then there's Windjammers, the funny frisbee game, which is also on PS4.
The funny frisbee
It's
game.
the funny frisbee game.
Is that in some reality that could actually be the tagline? Windjammers, the funny frisbee game.
yeah.
It's called the 90s.
If you've ever wanted to jam on some wind, well, now you can. And then finally, there are a lot of games out this week. I'm not sure why. Fishing Planet
What?
is a first-person game made by...
Do you want to know why? Do you want to know what game comes out next week? Destiny 2. Nobody wants to release the same week as Destiny 2.
Good point.
That's a good point. And then it's also we're heading into...
I like how none of us were like Destiny 2. We're all like, what?
Why do they game?
I was like, let's be honest. I don't know if that's going to really have a huge impact on the sales of Fishing Planet.
But it does have impact on how much of the entire download storefront is completely covered with nothing but Destiny 2.
Good point.
Yeah.
Sorry, just bringing that game developer perspective to this discussion.
Also, quick aside,
don't have anything to announce.
they've been like sort of like shorthandedly calling that game D2. Don't do that. It's only one D2. That's the Mighty Ducks. I think you know what time it is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Time.
Good. Also, speaking
Hockey boys.
of bears and of fishing,
The unlucky boy.
you played Far Cry again recently. Far Cry 5.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how quickly you killed that bear?
I killed a bear in that game, which I believe is probably the strongest enemy in that game. In like half a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, just unloaded
Just like
the
shot
minigun
the bear
in
a
his
couple of
face.
times and it died.
I was just like pop pop, and he was like, "Bah!" and that was it.
That's exactly what
And I was
happened.
like, that's not good. So Ubisoft,
Did you say you used a minigun? Though?
yeah,
Was it with a spinning barrel?
And it went pop pop?
no, it was like a small.
It was not a
machine
minigun.
Oh, you mean like a
Like
tiny gun?
a miniature gun.
I don't know a lot about guns.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel
I
like
thought
it was
you
like
were
a
a
hunting
gamer.
rifle of some kind. I don't know.
but like but fast.
Yeah, you killed that bear real quick. I
killed
think
him in
that's
like
very strange.
half a second.
Yeah.
Just shot him right in the mouth, and now he was dead.
Yeah.
I feel like you're complaining about being a fucking pro gamer. Like,
Yeah.
what's
No, I am.
What is your problem? You're extremely good. You beat the boss in record time, and you're like, I hate that. You don't sound like a gamer to me. You got a trophy for that
The
shit.
boss.
You got a Chivo for that shit. Yeah.
What is the bear the boss of? The woods?
The bear was, you got to, the
That
princess
region.
was in that castle.
What's the
As soon as you
opposite of
killed the
nerfing
bear.
something? Buffing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want them
The
to
bear
buff the
needs
bears.
some buffs.
The bears
You know
need to be
what's
buffed.
you
in
know
this
what's
game.
really hard in that game?
Buff
Fishing.
the bear.
Fishing.
Fishing is
Podcast
really
Beyond
hard.
Fishing is
508.
really hard.
Subtitle Buff,
Buff
the Bear.
bears. No, I seriously like. I love Far Cry games. The bears have to be very tough and buff. So buff those bears. Make them real buff.
I want to, if we haven't already done one, I really want to do a feature on the best fishing mini games.
Okay.
Just put like Deadly Premonition as number 1 because it's complete garbage and I've played that game 5 times and still don't know.
If you're doing a feature on weakest bears, Far Cry.
There you go.
Anyway, in addition to Fishing Planet, a game about fishing, there's also Surf World Series, which is about surfing in the conventional analog sense, not of the cyber surfing, but
That's tight.
surfing. It's a game.
That's what it says underneath the logo.
I'd surf.
So that's tough.
All right.
That's cool.
I'd surf.
Normally we answer questions from our Facebook group, but we went off the rails because
Wow, I just almost got blamed. I saw it too.
No,
You glanced
I was
over
looking
here.
at
Thieves
these two.
here.
These two. No, you're doing fine.
right, good,
We
good,
talked
good.
about Yakuza, and I'm happy.
Alana and I are like drunk off time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jet lag, also known as
true.
being wasted on time.
Yeah.
You got
But
sky
speaking
poison.
of surfing, let me derail this one more time. There was dog surfing world championships in San Francisco a couple of weeks
I
ago.
heard it sucked and was underwhelming. Confirm or deny?
I didn't go.
Oh, okay.
That's really saddening.
yeah.
Why would it be bad?
Yeah.
Because dogs aren't good at surfing.
You get out. Leave.
Nobody's
Leave
good
this
at
room right now.
You told me to get out like 3 times on this podcast. It's never going to happen. I live here now.
Oh.
Apparently, a lot of the dogs have to go on a surfboard with a person, but it's inconsistent,
Oh.
and some of them go on their own. So I don't really know how you consider that, a world
is
championship.
disappointing and underwhelming.
That's like if you had like a soccer game for children, but some of their dads played. Like, it's not fair.
It's just children's soccer, and then a dad just slide tackles an
Side
8-year-old.
Side note: great new idea for a sport.
They gotta buff those children.
Don't ever say that.
Adults, also known as buff children.
What's up, everybody's golf?
I went to the World Championships of the world's largest children competition. All right. Okay, PAX is this weekend. Let's talk about our PAX plans. So Saturday, September 2nd, there is going to be a panel called Video Games Are Dumb, and we love them for that. That is 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. in the Sandworm Theater. And then also on Saturday, there's BioShock's 10th anniversary party with IGN. That is at 9 p.m. in the Great Hall.
Apparently, we're hosting a costume contest.
Yes, we are. So bring your best BioShock costume to that, and then Alana and I will tell you if it's good or not.
Yeah, well,
Also, like, that's a weird contest because, like, a lot of the, like, characters in that game, you worked on that game, right? A lot of the bad guys in that game are just, like, drug addicts.
Yeah.
So I guess, like, just starting today,
you put on a
don't
broken
shave or
bunny
shower.
mask, and
Yeah.
then you just do heroin. And
get your friends to hit you up real quick.
yeah.
Just put a whole bunch of live birds in your cloak, and then just open it up and shoot the
Yep.
birds every which way.
Steve, you
That
since
would
you,
actually be an awesome costume. Because he carries a giant coffin around
Yeah.
with him, which is bad. Wait, actually, but he kind of looks like a KKK guy. Never mind. I changed my mind on that one. I my brain got as far as the coffin and was like, awesome. I was like, what else was he wearing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's rough.
Well, anyway, and then on Sunday, September 3rd, there's a panel called Where IGN Ask Us Anything, which is 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. in the Sasquatch Theater. And then NVC is doing a live panel. Let's rank the top 10 Nintendo games of all time for good. That's 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. in the
Well,
Woodburn
for
Theater.
for now, not for good. I mean, there's gonna be
No,
more
for
games.
good.
There might be other
That's
ones
the
that come
last
out later.
I have
NVC
a
panel.
feeling Nintendo might put out a few more games.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
In any case, we'll have that written down somewhere along with the rest of IGN's plans. I regrettably will not be there. I don't know why.
You're going to have a good long 3-day weekend.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I don't know.
You're
live-
just not
live my
going.
life.
You don't have to pause to be like,
was
someone
trying to
is
think of,
very
like,
sick.
Yeah. Someone is very sick, and I intend to find out who. And then I'm going to visit them with flowers because I'm a kind man.
I thought the impression I got was that you were just like, I don't know why I'm not going. They didn't invite me.
No, he knows not to go. One of our producers starts every email with "Hey ... and every time I expect bad news because he's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Who died, CJ? Why
Yeah.
do you keep doing? Just a comma would be fine."
You started the conversation being like one of our producers, and then you snitched
Hey.
within half a second.
It-
You just
it's-
really let the rat out of the bag there.
As a totally semi-related, mostly unrelated note,
Excellent. We love
general email tip: if you ever write anybody an email that's basically just like, "Hey, call me," like that's just like, "Hey, like text me" or something, like the person you're writing to is always going to think that someone died.
Yeah.
Or just
Yep.
if you ever are just like you want somebody to call you, tell them what it's about in
Yeah,
the
you're
email.
right.
Just a basic,
Yeah.
because then they won't call and be like, "Is everything okay?"
No, that's
Has
like pulling a
something
fire
terrible
alarm.
happened
That's,
recently?
Yeah. It's happened once or twice where somebody is just like, "Hey, it's whoever. Call me call me as soon as you have a chance." I'm just like,
Also-
it's also
what are
like-
you gonna say? And they're just like, "Oh, I
Also,
wanted to
don't
ask
do
you
that.
about when
How
you're
are
gonna
you?
be in town."
Don't
you
do
know?
that. Don't do like we need to talk. Like be like,
Right.
hey, let's catch up. Say something uplifting.
No,
Right.
someone can say we need to talk to me, and I think that we're going to break up, even though we're never dating. Like I'm like, oh
Yeah.
well, this is it for us. We had a good run. And
Yeah.
Also,
we're
if
done
you
now.
mostly call somebody a short version of their name, don't use the long version of the name unless you know for sure they're in trouble. Like I always call Steve Gaynor, but if I was like, "Steven, can we talk for a moment?" You'd be like, "Oh crap, I
Oh
screwed
my
up."
God, he's breaking up with
Yeah.
me.
See a lot of people like in the grocery store yell at their kids like with their full middle name and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Like Bethany Lewis
classic
Javinsky.
Bethany.
You get over here.
Alonathan.
Right?
Yeah, it's me. My name is Alonathan.
Bethany Lewis?
Yeah,
Javinsky.
she's
That's the fake name I made up.
she's a real troublemaker.
Bethany Lewis Javinsky?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this is the end of the show now. We're
As
just
you
going
can
to
tell,
stop doing
these
it.
time drunks are ready for bed.
I want to, it's 5:17. I want to go home. Anyway, thank you all for watching or listening or however you consume this. Head over to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/IGNBeyond. Head over to our Facebook group. It's facebook.com/group/podcastbeyond. You can find us all on Twitter. I'm Max Scoville. Brian is Agent Bizzle. Steve, you're just Fullbright, right?
That's right.
You do some good Twitter.
Thank you very
Tweeting.
much.
Twitter, whichever the word is. I don't even know anymore.
Tweets.
I'm every day I'm tweeting.
Good.
Every day
Keep it up.
tweeting.
And Alana's Charlanazard. And yeah, we'll have full IGN PAX plans posted somewhere. On that note,
Buff the Bears.